class, we'll create it, and then hopefully give you time in class to finish it. So hopefully there will be zero homework, which will make it easier for you guys, okay? So that'll be the mini project, we'll figure out the mini project yet. And we'll assign it as homework. If you don't finish, it will be homework, but we're intending to get it done within 3 hours. So that'll be the mini project for that. The week after is the visual language critique, so group B, right? Group B projects, visual language, remember? not group B for the vacuum forming. Visual language projects, remember those? Yeah, so your second critique, which are group B projects, is that week after. And then spring break, you guys need to sleep for a week. All right, so just don't forget your visual language critique project, right? Those are supposed to be fun, arty projects that you actually learn design principles without actually drawing anything, yeah? So that's the whole idea, is for you to actually learn through design, instead of just sketching. Right, so that's that one, okay? All right, let's talk about advanced perspective today. That's what this works. All right, so we're going to look at advanced perspective. Most of it, now I know Justin has approached three-point perspective with his section. You guys know what three-point perspective is? Okay, good. My section is not. We can just talk about two-point perspective, right? We're going to talk about how we might use 3, 4, and 5-point perspective. Now understand that most of these advanced perspective techniques are not necessarily for product or industrial design, because you'll use them for either doing more than one object, or you'll use them for warping the perspective in a way. It's good for like set design or environmental design. You want to make Hollywood sets, then you'll probably use some of these more larger point perspectives. Okay. Now it's okay. The unwritten rule is that you can use 3-point perspective in product sketches like what you're doing now. And so that's totally fine to use 3-point, but you want to use it judiciously. Okay? And I'll show you why. Yeah. Yeah. Usually there's not convergence of that kind of object. So that's what we'll talk about. I'll show you some examples. So, but that is exactly the reason. 3, 4, and 5-point. We'll do a fast sketch program demo. And then again, I've posted in the readings folder. If you want to learn more about advanced perspective or environmental design, like big environments, right? It's a chapter. It's Robertson How to Draw Perspective in Advanced Riddance. So feel free to take a look at it and download the lecture slides and or the readings. All it's on T-Squared. Okay. So 3-point perspective theory. Basically, all we're doing is adding a new vanishing point above or below your object. And what that does is it starts compressing it. So like we said before, when you're looking at perspective, depending on the optics of the lens, like to see more of an object, like think of it like your garage mirror, or your garage mirror. It's a giant round dome mirror. You can see everything in it, right? Like an old motorcycle mirror or something like that, or a parking garage door, like those type of things. Why? It compresses the perspective. So you might need that if you're showing a really, really large object. So depending on if the vanishing point is above or below, if it's above, this is the worm's eye view, because your horizon line tends to be right here, and you see the underneath of the object, or you're really, really close to the ground. Or the reverse, the bird's eye view, where the third point is called either a zenith or a nadir, right? So the bird's eye view is like you're flying above the object. So in a helicopter, looking down is usually when you might use 3-point. Now, you can use them on objects, and I'll show you that in a second. So here we go, right? Worm eye view, 3-point perspective at the top with the zenith. And so there's like a building receding up into the distance. Okay? Or the reverse, right? So if you're up top, and you're, so again, like we said before, if your third point now, your line of sight now vanishes down to the ground, and you're way, way, way above. Look at where the horizon line is relative to where the viewpoint is when you use these. Here the horizon line is almost above, it's like you're in a helicopter, and the horizon line in this case is above the tallest building, right? So think about how that works. Now, like I said before, the case in 3-point, you can use a little bit of 3-point perspective. Why do we say that? Well, usually when you start warping perspective, we talked about photography last semester. Your eyes mostly mimic a 50mm lens. Okay? When you start using a wide-angle lens, you show more, and it also makes things look more dynamic. Because you're kind of forcing it into a circle. Go watch like the Doctor Strange movie and they do all the camera tricks. That makes everything get warped. All they're doing is going from a 50mm lens down to a cinema 16 and back. And that makes sense. That's, or the other trick is like when when they do rapid zoom in, right? Like you see the whole classroom and all of a sudden like it zooms in on somebody's head and just their eyeball or something. Like Wes Anderson loves to do that, right? Comes in really sharp on something. They're just pulling the telephoto lens. The reason why is though is if you use a telephoto lens, a 200mm, 150mm, 300mm, it flattens the image out, which makes it less distorted. So if you have an object that's distorted, so from a photography trick, if you have someone like Gonzo the Muppet has a giant nose, if you use a 200mm lens and get really far away from Gonzo, it's really better. But if you use a 16mm lens, a wide angle lens, and get really close, then it makes the nose even more distorted. So if you want to, which is why usually a portrait lens is 85mm. It flattens all the features out just a little bit. So think about how you might want to use that perspective. The same idea is, do I move my vanishing points further and further and further away from the page? You only use a 3-point perspective if the vanishing points get closer. Like look where the vanishing points are in this case. Where are the vanishing points? There's one on the page, which is the center one. Where are the other two? Top corner. You can actually see them. They're on this page. Right here, this is black dot, and now you do black dot, 3 points on the page. That's why, right? This is almost like you shot it out of a wide angle lens, like it's a giant spherical lens. Does that make sense? Not talking gibberish? Okay. So that's the max cone of vision, right? That's the max. Question?
What is it like, for example, your object and the process for horizon one?
We'll show you that. I'll show you that. I'll show you that. You got the next slide. Good segue, Francis. We'll get you on that one. So here's the deal. Pencil sharpener. Do you notice this in 3-point perspective? A little bit. Line, line, line. There it is. Vanishing point. Theoretically, you never have this monument, gigantic skyscraper. Your pencil sharpener is not a skyscraper. But it makes it look like, check it out, you're looking at it from above. Right? So it's warped its perspective in order for you to make this pencil sharpener look like it's imposing, like a skyscraper. That's why they're using it. So be judicious on how much you use that. You can totally do that, right? Where the vertical, we said in 2-point perspective, all the lines should be vertical. If you drew this like it really was, it would be this, straight up and down, and that would turn it more into like a sugar block, right? But because they use just a little bit of 3-point, it feels like it's more dynamic. And that's why. So it's okay to use 3-point, but you just want to be careful about how you don't overdo it. Notice they did a straight up ortho, right? Because this, without this actually could be confusing. Why do I say that? Because it could be that this thing is this, right? And that the pencil sharpener actually is not cubic, but actually a trapezoid. If I didn't have this view here, you'd actually think the pencil sharpener is like a diamond, like a prism. And that's not what the designer intended. That's why the designer put it orthographic. It was pure. Now it looks cool, but it's confusing. It can be confusing to someone, right? So be careful. Here you can actually see this is really subtle. It's in this, and it's in this, and it's in this, but it's really subtle. Barely a little bit in, barely a little bit in, straight up and down. So just that little degree or two gives it just a little extra oomph. These aren't perfect and vertical. You can see that, right? If it was a straight up 2-point perspective, this line here would be exactly straight up and down. And it's not straight up and down. It's just about 2 or 3 degrees in. So it's just subtle 3-point. It makes it more dynamic, right? Again, you can overdo a lot of these perspective tricks. So be careful about how much you do it. But and again, this is not straight up and down. This is actually slightly turned. This is slightly turned. And there's your 3-point here. So it's there, okay? And then on the sewing machine, same, right? This is not straight up and down, it's slightly in. This is curved, so you can't really think it. But you can see that that's how that person does that.
Can you explain how the one with the
Yes, sir.
but like
instead of vacuum cleaner.
I think it's like a coffee press or something.
That one, how is that one?
Well, this one is a cylinder here. It's tapered in, but you'll just see that this one right, if this were a pure cylinder, you can see how it's kind of turned in a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, if you meant to, that's the thing, this is where it can be confusing. If you meant to draw a cone, then there's no 3 point here. If this is a cone, which is meant to taper, then there's no 3 point. Now, if you meant to draw, and I'm thinking he meant to draw more or less a cylinder, and he's just exaggerating it by putting something in it. But agreed, maybe that's not, but this does.
Yeah, that one.
So you just want to think about, again, how you might want to use that. Does that make sense? Good question. Good question. Yeah. Absolutely, good question. Okay, now we go into Francis's segue. What about if it goes across? That's 4 point perspective. So 4 point perspective, so it crosses the horizon line, you have a vanishing point above and below. So now if you have 4 point perspective, right, in this case, right, it does look like a funhouse mirror. Now it looks like a garage mirror for sure.
Or it looks like it's peering out of like the peephole in like the hotel.
That's right.
Go.
That's what we're talking about. That forced lens, exactly. So that you can see everything. Or the garage mirror, which is a pure half dome of mirror. That's 4 point. That's 4 and 5 point. Yeah.
Why, I think why it's 10 piece. Like, why can't it? Maybe it'd be really weird if it was like that.
Right. But so basically what we're saying is 2 point perspective, all lines that are vertical. 3 point perspective, all vertical lines converge to a point, either above or below. 4 point perspective, all the vertical lines form almost like a curvilinear arc. Okay? Think of it like the optics of a lens, right? Once you, or a mirror that you see in a parking garage. It curves all the lines. Because this is theoretically in this, Doctor Who TARDIS, this is all one line. Right? This is all one line, but it curves. The only thing I can say is, like, take a wide-angle lens picture. I'll show you in a second. And it curves it. It takes what is what would normally be horizontal or vertical and forces it around a circle. That's what happens when you use a wide-angle lens. It takes the optics of what you see and compresses it into a circle. And if you use a telephoto lens, it takes that circle and orange fields it out, and it pulls it so you only see one little section of it. What's the best way for me to explain this? So, if you take your eyeball, right, and you have a goldfish's eyes, goldfish. Okay, you're like sideballing it, right? You have a goldfish's eyes, right? Now standard eye depth of field, like we said, is a cone of vision. A cone of vision is plus or minus 30 degrees, which is 60 degrees total. So what you see is the world around you, because we live in a giant circular globe, and so everything we see is around the globe, right? But because we only see part of the globe, this one part is this section of the circle spread out. Now, if you're a goldfish, you can see 120 degrees. So 60 degrees up and 60 degrees down. So now you see more of the globe, which is the Earth. That's why it's all round. If you use a zoom lens, like you have eyes of a hawk, now I can't change this goldfish into I can change this goldfish into a hawk. Close enough. Right? Yeah, this is what I used to do is have me and Bill just draw all day.
You and him?
On the whiteboard. Yeah, we co-teach. Me and Bill Scott.
Oh.
Bill.
Phil.
Me and Bill, right? Bill and I, sorry. Is that what you said?
No.
This side.
I didn't.
Bill designed the first mouse for Macintosh. He designed the
What?
first Macintosh.
Is it French?
Yeah. I think Jackson, right? We met him. Tap met him too. Tap had dinner with him. Not alone, looking like it's not so creepy.
You guys have
So,
Okay, there's nothing underneath.
yeah, the original 84 magnet. So,
Give it a
just let you know, right? So what I'm saying is, if you have the eyes of a hawk, then you have telephoto sight. So the telephoto sight is something really, really thin, but really far away. And by doing that, this circle is no longer a circle. This circle is now like it's really thin. It's just this part. That part is really flat. So that's the difference. That's how cameras work, right? It corresponds.
So like, the larger the lens,
The more flat it goes, the further it sees. So when you zoom into something, you can zoom into somebody's eyeball, which only a little bit.
so you're saying like it's very notable.
Correct.
But shouldn't it make it better? Oh, it's like the opposite.
It's the opposite. It's the opposite. The lens body, this distance, if we say 200 millimeters, right? It does that against the camera. So that's the lens. This is the camera, right? So the longer the lens is, the more it actually focuses it flat.
Yeah.
No worries. Good question. All right. So let's go back. Sorry. So in this case, it's a wide-angle lens. It compresses everything into a circle. So that's just like, this is like eye level is, you know, you're 2 years old and you're going into your mom's dresser drawer bedroom, right? And that's what you see, right? So that's, in this case, everything is forced around these 4 points. Okay, let's move on. So I'm moving people in the back.
Oh, Jesus.
Looking at other things.
5 points?
5-point perspective.
What?
So 5-point perspective is not just a circle, but there's 1-point perspective included. So now it's the same as 4, except you have a 5th one that's vanishing point right in the dead center.
What converges to that?
So where will we use it? All right, first off, it's not optically like we see. Why would you use this?
If you wanted to show like reflections in a car, maybe?
Maybe reflections in a car, but like a sphere. Anything that looks like a, maybe you want to show a lot of something, like a sphere, like you're in a spherical environment. I want to show this entire classroom in one shot. Well, I can't do it with just a single camera. I have to use, I can take left, right, panorama. Your Apple panorama shot is this. It's 5-point.
Isn't that
Or
how
it's
they do,
4.2,
like-
huh?
Is that how they do like the VR stuff on Facebook? Where it's
Probably,
like-
yeah. What do you do is several images and then stitch it.
Or like those YouTube ads where you can
Yeah, that's actually a famous photographer who created that stuff. I forgot what his name is. Yeah, go ahead.
For 4 and 5-point perspective, did people just create that?
No. What do you mean? No, and I'm not trying to be snide.
Like, where in the real world does that happen?
So the Renaissance artists constructed it using math, right? They powerize, theoretically, they from the optics of examining, like Da Vinci, examining the cadaver of an eye, they derive all the rest of the perspective. It's just that we only have, our pupils only have 50 millimeter lens. But they mathematically is like, what if we change that? And so they started playing with that. So it was derived, basically, the short answer. Yeah. You're right, though, that we don't normally see it, so why would we use it, right? There is supposedly 6-point perspective, but I was like, what? And that's just basically, if you want to put the front 180,
Oh yeah,
the back
that's
180, and you just cut the sphere open and drop it down. So you have 2 circles. And that's 360 degrees of field of view. You see everything. But we would never use that in design. Right? So it's so weird. But can you see how this person used 5-point perspective to show the entire bus? Now it's a concept artist, right? I guess there's some monsters on, but maybe some Men in Black in that. Monsters are on the bus, but you can see the entire bus from all the way left to all the way right. Okay?
What month?
So if you look at this person's arm, this does this does this guy's going here, this guy is going to go here, right? So you can see it's all wrapped. Now these are vertical lines, so these are staying in the vertical.
So all the vertical lines go up to the top column.
Correct.
All the horizontal lines go to the left, right?
Correct.
And all the lines that go backwards go into the.
Correct. Now, okay, so this is like environmental art type of thing. There now, if you look at the chapter I posted up, Scott Robinson shows a 5-point like this. So that's a vehicle design using a 5-point perspective.
It's because it's small.
Yeah.
It's not that big.
Yeah, well, it's because you're like a tiny ant hovering in a helicopter above this giant tank. Like this is one of those monster trucks, you know, like the shows on Discovery, like monster excavator things, those 40-story dump trucks. Have you seen those 40-story dump trucks? That's what these make. But you can see it especially in this one, it's a little bit more subtle. This goes around, these both go in 1 point, and you can see that this line arc here for the wheel is doing this. So he just uses a way more there in the truck.
That's so
I can like
complicated.
number.
Yeah, which is why we usually don't
My
use
brain
this
does
thing.
not go that far.
Dang.
But these are people who like really love perspective, and they obviously he's been designing for a long time. So here's the other thing, right? Anytime you have to have more than one object in the same order, like when we did the cube compositions, you could use more than one set of vanishing points. It's still all the same horizon line, but look at this. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 different cubes here. They all exist in the same space, but they do not have the same vanishing points. Now, if all the cubes were lined up parallel to each other, absolutely, then the 4 cubes would all have the same vanishing points. But these cubes are rotated relative to each other. They don't line up. So if you were to draw like Times Square, the roads aren't parallel. Times Square, the roads come into a fork, and then one road comes out at you. So because the buildings are rotated relative to each other, there's more than 2 points of perspective. So this is multiple viewpoints. So this is multiple vanishing point perspective. Use a 2-point or 3-point. For the most part, if you diagnose these, look where we are at. This cube has green lines, this vanishing point, and this vanishing point. This cube behind it is rotated relative to the cube I just pointed out. It is rotated just slightly, was that clockwise, if you're looking from the top? It's got pink vanishing points here and over here. Notice this red is the offset distance from that set of vanishing points to the next set. So for small rotations, if you just move the vanishing points over, that means the cube rotated. Does that make sense? Now, for big rotations, the vanishing points might really be far off. Yes, sir.
They stay at the same distance away from each other?
So here's the rule, because I get this from Stanford, if they want to like mathematically calculate it. So I'm like, okay, don't get yourself hooked up over this, right? I just see us major calculate, use matrices math to calculate it. I'm like, okay, I don't need to do this, this is design class. So for small rotations, the cube, right? If you only rotate like a couple degrees, 1, 2, 3, 4 degrees, all they do, the answer is yes. They move the same amount. Here's the issue. As the cube starts rotating further and further away so that it's no longer 45 at you, like this. When it starts rotating more so that it's almost like a flat side, then the vanishing points not only start moving this way, the distance between them starts growing. It's just moving to a 1-point perspective. So as the rotation gets really, really far, then this even offset distance, this one starts moving really, really, really far away.
It's like the two sides of their piece parallel.
Correct. That's right.
So like,
So look at this, so that leads me to this cube and this cube. See these? This cube is pretty much straight up 1-point perspective. This line is pretty much parallel. However, if you were to look at this cube, it is not a 1-point perspective. There is convergence in the top and bottom line. Where is this vanishing point? Over here. Over here. See what I mean? Small rotations, the offsets are equal, the 2 red lines. Big rotation changes, like the magenta cube, yeah, the vanishing point's here, but that other one is over here. So that it grew as it came out. So that's how you will know. Now, as long as you hit 2 different vanishing points, you will get rotation. The only way to get this down is to practice it. Yeah.
Wait, so for the blue and the one, are those the 1 point?
For the blue is 1 point. This one is not. Why do I say that? Because these lines are perfectly horizontal, but this line and this line actually has convergence. That was really close. You see how they're actually not parallel? They're actually angled just gently towards each other.
Which line do you know?
This line and this one. They're not perfectly parallel. They're not perfectly horizontal. They are, right?
Right, so where's the vanishing point?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So there's actually a second vanishing point that this person did not choose to show, the author did not choose to but it's over here. So can you see that, how that variation happens? Yeah.
So are you talking about like two red lines? Like, what do you mean by?
Yeah, sorry.
Can
So,
you show, like,
yeah,
kind of
this red line
Yeah,
and this one.
right,
So this green cube,
right.
its vanishing point is here, VP1 and VP1 prime, what do you want to call it? Right. This cube's rotated relative to this one. It's no longer parallel, right? It's been turned this way.
Yeah.
So now this vanishing point moves over a certain distance, which is the offset, which is what Bellroad was asking.
Oh, and then on the other side, the same.
Same. So small cube rotations, you can just shift them left and right. But more drastic changes like this one, all of a sudden that other one's way away, far away. If this distance moved from here to here, that one moved off the TV. So the offset rule does not work on much larger rotations. Yeah.
Is there any way to tell with that big of a rotation you just got?
As you start getting closer to 1 point, right? As you start getting closer to 1 point, off the page. Now, if you want to just do 2 straight up 1 points, it's fine.
Technically, this is like, it's only one point, we go like, getting right at it.
Yes. But, or, within the cone of vision, if your 1 point is directly in between your 2 eyeballs, but you can still move the cube off a little bit within 30 degrees, then that's still a 1 point sphere. It's just your narrow cone of vision is 30 degrees, plus or minus 30 degrees. Okay, let me show you how this looks. This is multiple object 2-point perspective. Look at the wheels. So this is some concept artist, I forgot the guy's last name. I usually credit this guy. I want to say it was Rubering, German dude. So, you know, it's like this Tron, Elysium, Oblivion, concept art, whatever. Look at the wheels. Do you notice that the front wheels are rotated more towards you than the back wheels, which are cambered inwards and rotated to the left? So they're using, anytime you look, especially for cars, using, if you want to use like the front wheels are always turned slightly, which means that the vanishing point changed and went to a 1 point. So if your car's a 2 point and you angle the front wheels as if they're turning towards you, there's a new vanishing point. And that's how they create that.
Did that happen in reality?
Yeah, oh, absolutely, happens in reality.
Doesn't it look a little weird when you look at it?
No? Jackson, I encourage you to try. Try to do a bicycle. Bicycles never rest like 2 wheels straight like this. It leans over, what happens? The wheel, the fork turns. Try to draw a bicycle angled and with the fork turned, and you'll see it. Try it, you'll see it.
How long does something like that take?
All right, this is Sid Mead. So for people who don't know, Blade Runner, they're creating a new one. Sid Mead designed Blade Runner, the original Harrison Ford one, right? And Tron, the original Tron, right? Look at what this guy is doing. Look where all the vanishing points are. He usually uses a 5-point setup that is 1 3-point, 1 2-point offset. So it's not, this is not the giant spherical lens. This is just multiple vanishing points. And if you look at it, you can see that the chairs of the, he also helped to design Aliens. I think that movie.
It looks,
There's one vanishing point going straight through here. That's where the chair, the lines of the chair line up. Notice though that this porthole, this window, right, doesn't line up with this, which means that the top of the spaceship is actually angled. If you look at the top view, chairs face this way, the ship's window portal's like this. And that's why this vanishing point moves to the left, or to the right, sorry, of the chairs. You see he's actually drawn it. It's right there. So that means the window is slightly angled, which is what makes it look cool. It's almost like a 5. If this were the 5-point here, it's almost like he's kind of trying to do a 5-point, right? So that's this one. Now look at this one here, the controls. This goes into here. So it's still the same horizon line, but this goes there. So this panel is faced another way. So multiple objects have different sets of vanishing points. Lucy.
So what would happen if it wasn't on the same horizon line? Would that just not?
Then that would be distorted. That would now no longer, it would no longer be real.
Okay.
Or theoretically, if you just threw it up in the air, it would be floating. So if this is all fastened to the same deck, then it's the same vanishing point. However, if you were like, I'm going to throw this tennis ball, I'm going to throw this tennis racket up in the air, then theoretically you could have a different one. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Or if you tumble something, like you were to like rotate it around itself, then it's possible. So this is 1, 2, 3. I lost track. He usually says 5, but I can't count them all. There's definitely 1, 2, 3 right there. And I don't know where the heck, oh, this one's just going straight up, so that's not even real. Right? Okay, so that's that. Next. Here's another one. This is all watercolor designer's gouache. So this is hand painted. What? Yeah, remember that gouache we showed to put little white dots on stuff? That's that same stuff. It's gouache. He hand paints these. Right? This is back when they actually, like, concept artists didn't work digitally, they did it all by hand. So, again, look at the perspective. Yeah, you can buy his artwork. It's gonna cost you $1,000, but you can buy his artwork. You can buy a limited print for like $500 or $200 on his website. So you're like, I want your original print. You can go buy it. Right? So look at where this vanishing point is. Over there. Look where this vanishing point is, which is slightly over here. This is a one-point side view of just another car. I can see this is a version of that car just in the future. So do you see that the difference in vanishing point setups? This is almost a forced 3-point, right? Because it forces the way that the motorcycle is moving, right? It's distorted. This is straight up orthographic, more or less. And then he uses other things to kind of showcase that. Like here's the same thing, turned more. So any object turned relative to itself has a different set. Yeah.
Within the reflection, is that also a different thing? Because like the reflection is obviously going to be like 5 point.
This reflection?
The way that it's shaped. Like the reflection in like the
This?
pool itself, yeah.
Yeah, all he's doing is taking like, look, here's these two citizens standing. He's just mirroring them here. It's a reflection. Yeah, I don't think it's, I mean, yeah, this one chrome might be a 5-point because it's wrapped around that one chrome surface.
Can you show those two wheels, show the perspective lines?
So there's this, goes through here, there, and so right about here. This one goes this way and stops right about here. So there's 1 point here, there's 1 point there. They're not the same. That's the whole bike turn slightly. So that leads me to like, so the lab downstairs, when I pitched it to GM, I drew this drawing. I used a wide angle lens, which is like a 16mm lens. So I can get the entire, and you can see this lab because it's just downstairs. You see how it works everything? It's a 16mm wide angle lens. And so I can see the back of the garage, and then where the grad students never work, but they're supposed to, right? And then of course your body scan lab is right over here behind you, right? So I just took a picture of where the body scan divider is, and I just drew what I wanted the lab to look like. And I used a 5-point perspective. I just tried, so you can see this line, right? And then this line. That's the iris of your eyeball. So now the lens